What's up, fellas? Urban Red Pill, Men First, the channel where we promote Men First, geared around men's wants, the things that men need, and information that is paramount to a man's success and the betterment of himself. Today, what I want to talk about, fellas, is I want to talk about staging. And if you follow me with this, I'm going to kind of, me and these damn analogies, I'm going to go into this and you'll kind of understand more clearly what I'm trying to say. I want, are you, I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with HGTV, where they have, it's the channel geared around home improvement. They flip houses. I've always been interested in real estate and those type of things. I like watching houses go from a disaster being redone. I like to look at, as far as, inside decorations, all those things on the inside, right? So pretty much, I tend to watch it and I skip around a lot of the gynocentrism that goes on that show as of the last few years, as in they will have a female wave a sledgehammer through a wall, but then go to commercial, knowing good and damn well she didn't do the demo of the whole house. I mean, no one's falling for that. But outside of that, I have to kind of block those things out. And I was thinking of an episode I watched one time, and it just reminded me of how this translates into a lot of things that women do and the way that they tend to carry themselves. With staging, I'm going to give two examples of what I saw with staging. Staging is let's say if you have a property, a house that you want to sell. Now, you can use staging for one or two things. You can rather use staging to sell that house at the amount that you're asking for. In other words, the way stage the house with furnishings, because staging is really you just putting furnishings, light fixtures, just other things that entice a person to buy the house instead of them walking into their house and seeing nothing but, just white walls. So you just stage it, you furnish it, and when you do this, you're hoping to get the value that you want instead of dealing with, going through a negotiation or a battle, a bargaining battle. Second thing is if the house is not selling. If the house is not selling, you've had an open house, nothing's going on. You got the price, the house priced at a reasonable market rate, but for some reason the house is just not freaking selling. So what you would do, this is another extreme measure that you would do to go ahead and see if you can pull a sale out of the house. A lot of times it could be a nice house that's in a bad neighborhood, maybe doesn't have a good school, just whatever little different intervals that goes in the reason why no one would want to buy this house. They will put they will hire stagers, and these stagers will come do landscaping. Just depends on your budget. They would do landscaping, they would do furnishing, all kinds of things like that, hopefully to entice a sale. Now, how does this transfer into females? Is that if you think about this concept, women pretty much do the same thing. You will have a female that, in other words, she needs to get the amount that she's, her offer. She needs that amount, or she's not getting enough buyers, so she needs to stage so she can start, accumulating some offers. And how does this translate? I want to give you certain behaviors that and certain things that they would do to show that it's really all staging. I'll start with one with the cell phone. The cell phone, if just pay attention to human behavior, especially female behavior. Matter of fact, I tend to do this a lot more. I don't really talk much. I mean, you probably can't tell by me on this channel. I don't really talk much. I probably observe and I listen probably 95% of the time throughout my life. And the talking is only reserved for select few, a small circle, and of course, you red pill brothers in this community. Now, with the cell phone is That is a form of staging for women. If you look at them, you would swear every single last one of them are a CEO of a company that is constantly getting bombarded with her having to make decisions on this and that. I got news for you, fellas. It's bullshit. I remember one time I was in a store and the line was pretty long. And this store, the line I was in, next to you there is like a glass. This was at nighttime. So with that glass, I'm standing in line. Of course, you got, a cunt in front and she's in front of me and she acts like, she's the busiest woman in the world. With the reflection of that glass, I looked at that glass and you can see from the reflection of the glass what's on the phone screen. And this woman had it was a blank screen, but it had a round circle just moving around the phone. And I guess that app is put there purposely, I guess to deal with anxiety or whatever, but it's there. The circle moves around, and what you do is you get your finger and you just tap on the circle, and it makes it look like you're always doing something when you're sitting there on that phone. And it floored me because I'm like, wow, this is another deceitful practice that a lot of women use. It was another case incident where I seen the female once again. What they do, they project these things like they're just so busy and they're so much in demand, and the world is like constantly banging on their doors. And this one woman was pretty much flicking through random magazine pictures like of dumb shit, fruits, other females, the feet, just stupid shit that if you did not know from a distance that this is what this female was doing, she was actually staging herself to seem like she's a lot more busier, and her mind is in a more important place than she wants you to believe it is. Another thing is attire. And I mean, we've all seen this. What they would do is they would wear. I've spoken and dealt with females who would wear spandex, yoga pants with sneakers. And I'm telling you right now, these women have never touched a gym. They don't work out. But that the staging that they're trying to project out into the public is that of I'm a very active person. I work out, all these type of things, and at the end of the day, man, those chicks have never lifted a weight. They don't even have a fucking gym membership, and yet they would trot around. I know you guys see them. They will wear athletic shoes, athletic gear, but actually are not athletic or do any athletic things whatsoever, which is crazy to me. Another form of staging is even the makeup. We all know about this. We know about the makeup. The makeup is a stage to make her seem a lot more youthful than she really is. And for women that are youthful, they use makeup to hide blemishes, to stage that they have a smooth, pigmentation on their skin. That's it's staging. It's to try to fool a man into thinking like, okay, this woman is of a high value for a female. That's another way of staging. And have you ever seen some of them in their social settings with other women? And we know women are not funny. We know some of the worst comedians in the world are females. They're not funny. The only jokes they have are jokes of them talking about men, bashing men, or talking shit about our flaws to get a laugh out of course, silly guys who laugh with them and the women who are agreeance, but they really have no creative comedy. So would you ever watch, if you're in a restaurant or an eatery and you happen to see a group of them, you would swear that if it's a group of five, like every single female in that group is just like the female version of Kevin Hart or you know what I mean? Like, and really what they're doing is they're staging. They want people around them to get the perception that these are like very happy, ongoing girls, like all five, and they're able to carry on nice conversations with laughter, when at the end of the day, that's not really true. They're sitting there laughing at anything because all of them are in on the trick. All five women at that table know that they have to put on. for the rest of the people around in the restaurant. They're all in on it. So one woman may say something that doesn't even make sense. She could say, well, hey, I enjoy watching people get murdered. All four other women would just laugh. Even though what she said is nothing funny. A matter of fact, it shows a sense that she's crazy. But they laugh because of the point that they understand that people around them are watching. And the car situation, guys, when you see these women in these status cars, I've talked to enough of them, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm talking, some have BMWs, Mercedes, whatever these, I call them just status cars. Guys who know real engineering and real cars, you know that most of these label status cars that these women drive, these are not even up to the tier of that brand. And 99.9% of the females that I've interacted that is on these status cars were all broke. A matter of fact, a lot of their complaints came about how much the car payment was, how much that they regret ever getting a car. They didn't know it was going to be such a money pit. But then you ask yourself, well, why the hell did you buy it? Of course, they're going to say stupid shit like, oh, I like the car, or all those things. But at the end of the day, guys, it's really for them. It's a stage. It's for them to project high value as a female, even when they're out on the road. Remember, this is a game that they have to play 24/7. They say hypergamy never sleeps. Staging never sleeps either. The only time you find out the truth about this demon is after a certain amount of time goes by and you actually start dating her. You'll realize that she's very sloppy. You'll start to see the craters all in her face from all that makeup once it's removed. You will realize that a lot of times, a lot of these women have bad hygiene. Don't let them fool you. And that's another form of staging too, with this layers and layers of perfume. They're trying to virtue to the world that I am of purity. I am of freshness. When at the end of the day, they're just putting layers to hide the underground layer, and that's with them having bad hygiene. And these staging tricks, the few that I've named, it's a surprise to me that in 2019 you still have men falling for this. How do I know this? Is I still hear men having conversations when they speak of, when a guy's questioning another man about, okay, what is about this female? They're still speaking of these things. Oh, she has a nice car. Oh, she has a degree. Or she has a good job. Or she makes six figures. And I still can't wrap my head around this. And they don't understand that, no, these chicks are just staging. Even though she may have a good job, how much net worth does she really have in her bank account? If she makes $100,000 a year, how much in the green, how much in her savings does she have? And most of the time, these women, they're in major credit card debt. Now, the last point I'm going to get to, because I don't want to keep this video too long, and this staging act, this is one of the furniture pieces that when I say this is fooling everyone, a lot of people, some of us have worked waking up to this fact. This point right here, I believe, is one out of all the ones I've named, is the ultimate deception. That it's subjective. This would be number one to me, and that is a nurturing spirit. That is just by a woman gender, just by her existence as a female, that equally qualifies her to be categorized as a nurturing, the superior person for nurturing. In other words, the better parent, a great mother. If you notice, how can women lead the nation in child abuse, child murderers, but yet no one wants to say that a female, a mother, auntie, whatever it is not that great of a nurturer or not that great of a parent? No one wants to call this out. And I'm asking, well, how is it that they lead the nation in these two statistics that are a detriment to a child? But yet, on the other hand, we have a society where almost everybody says just because this woman is a mother, that equally qualifies her to be a nurturer. And this is one of the biggest like hoax in the world to me. These women are, I mean, abortion, yes, I look at that as, as murder. As murder, I look at it that way, but that's a subject for another time. But let's get away from that. I'm talking about murdering, abuse, child neglect. Look at all these stories of females going to happy hours, leaving their kids in the car, kids with an S, to be left alone the most of the night while she's in the bar party. What about these women going to malls, leaving their kids in hot cars? In some cases, the kids pass away. And no one calls this out. Every time these things happen, it's always some type of mental condition. It was the drugs. It was a what do they call it? Postpartum, whatever it is that they try to come up. It's always something else's fault, but her just being the one that is a predator over these innocent. And to tie it up with this, notice they always abuse the elderly too. You would think that elderly, one of the best caretakers that an elderly person, whether man or woman, can have would be a female. But if you think about it, kids and elderly, some of the society's most vulnerable beings, are the ones that are always constantly abused and killed by women. Yet everybody turns around and no one bats an eye on this. So at the end of the day, guys, I just wanted to give this example about the staging. Don't let these women out here fool you with the way that they're trying to carry themselves. That they want you to feel the way that you're feeling. They want you to think that they're of more value than you. Hell, there's some women that are unemployed that think they have more value than a man with a job. This is nothing but staging. It's staging. It's all a freaking game. And the bad thing about this staging is, unlike a house, if you get yourself caught up into these staging games that these women play, remember, you can't put this bitch up for sale. She's yours. You guys take care. More videos to come. Later.